Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Sammy Leggett here representing Team JVS. I'm back here again for another movie review. Hopefully you guys can hear me because my headphones right now are acting really weird. I apologize for that. Let's go ahead and get it started. I think now I'm good to go. Make sure I catch my audio levels, make sure they're good, and yep, we're good. All right, so I'm going to be doing a review on the movie Chaos Walking. This movie has been in fluctuation since 2019, 2018. I can't remember exactly when they shot it, but this is starring Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland. This is directed by Doug Liman, as well as it was written by Patrick Ness and Christopher Ford. I believe that this was changed multiple different times in terms of the actual narrative and rewritten and also reshot. I don't know the full backdrop of it, but this is what the synopsis reads. A dystopian world where there's no women and all living creatures can hear each other's thoughts in the stream of images, words, sounds called noise. Now, this is based on an acclaimed book, from my understanding. And again, I kind of went into this film with very low expectations, but I didn't know what I was in for. So let's talk about the surrounding themes of the film. As it says in the backdrop, being a dystopian future, like this is, I think, like 2247 and 2249, something like that. And the very thing that you're seeing as soon as you get in was, like they said, the noise. The way that the noise is visually done, I think that it didn't work visually or auditorily, or even just in the way the narrative actually it flows, in my personal opinion. It's kind of like the idea is that whatever I'm processing and whatever I'm thinking, if I'm a man in this world, I didn't hear any animals. The synopsis kind of said like any creatures outside of women, but I didn't see any animals that had this ability. But as far as any thought that I have, whatever the thought is, if you're scatterbrained and you're always thinking about stuff, or you're OCD or whatever, you're literally seeing it. The visual immersion of it is that some people, their thoughts are so strong that you can literally see it, and they can also possibly alter your perspective because it's just so coherently like there. So the noise in and of itself is not just a perception of what you actually think a person's like thinking, you're seeing it, but then it also comes to motion, where other people, their thoughts are so warped that it has a different effect. So everybody's noise, depending on a certain class of person, is very different. Our main character that Tom Holland is playing, and Todd, like he's very scatterbrained, but at the same time, he's very focused. And he also is dealing with a lot of trauma. So the trauma is also inducing his thoughts, where he may have one thought one way, then have another way. In the beginning of the movie, I think that worked because I kind of didn't know what kind of person he was. I perceived that he was a good person, but I didn't know his intention, which I think that works and invokes some things in certain character designs. Like there's a character that David Oyelowo, he actually plays the role of Aaron. He's kind of like a priest. And I think that his character was very vastly interesting because of the way that he uses noise and the way that he thinks and what he feels like is coming from him and what he doesn't know is coming from him. I think also the way they use his voice to dub over the way his noise comes out, I think that was the most interesting thing about this film to me. I think that his role was very intriguing, and I kind of was like wondering what they were going to do with it, but they don't do that much with it. And I'll get to the actor side of things much later. But in terms of the set designs are okay. It's nothing like I haven't seen before. Like as far as the backdrop, the designs of some of the weapons. As you can see, this weapon right here, it kind of looks like a makeshift shotgun, but it's not very detailed. I do think from a scope standpoint, there's a shot that they do in space with Daisy Ridley's character that I felt that shot was actually pretty enthralling at first. And then at a certain point, it just was all over the place. So another thing that I'll say is a really bad critique that I'm going to say about the noise is that if you were watching this in the theaters without any closed caption or any kind of subtitles, it would be almost impossible to know what anybody's noise said. I don't know if it was the way they designed it or if they really should have just added like some subtle subtle like words and captions as somebody saying. I don't know. I haven't read the books. I don't know the way that it's interpreted, the way the noise works or flows, but it just does not translate well for me to be able to perceive what's understood with every different conversation, especially when there's a moment where Tom Holland's character, he's kind of going through like a town, and as he's going through the town, like he's kind of like waiting to try to get to Mads Mikkelsen's character, but everybody's hearing what he's saying and he can't stop himself, but he's trying to hold it in. But I couldn't hear what everybody else was thinking or understanding. It was just like too fast. It was edited really weird, and the audio design just didn't help anything. I think that was a fundamental flaw that I have for this. Mads Mikkelsen, I think, does a decent job in this. It's just his character, and this is where I'm starting to get to the negatives. His character isn't fully realized to be what he is. Whether I'm not spoiling it, whether he's a protagonist or antagonist or he's something else, it's never fully realized. He's just kind of like this token character that has this kind of grizzled past, and like everybody looks at him and looks up to him for whatever the reason, but they don't specifically show you which way that actually is. In my personal opinion, I felt like David Oyelowo's character had more focus and I had more understanding of why he was there, what he was there for, but they don't do anything with his character. And as well as like he has a lot of scenes with Mads Mikkelsen's character to which I don't even understand that friendship or relationship in and of itself. Another dynamic of this is the fact that there are no women. And not to go too off the rails with it, but the town that Tom Holland's character's in, like even his mom is not there. And so it's kind of like his dad is living with another man. And I assumed that in this film that there just really wasn't any women there. And I was kind of like, how does that work? Like from relationship standpoint, like they don't go into the dynamics of family. They don't go into the dynamics of relationships. Matter of fact, the entire film, there's not one person that gets kissed or anything. Like it's a non-existent relational movie, even though this is a YA film, which is very weird because they do play up, the idea of, Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland's characters. It's just Daisy Ridley's character is Viola. How do I say this? Her acting in this is not bad at all. Like her acting is actually probably some of the best. The issue is the way that they utilize her character. Her character technically is the most informed person in this entire movie. And yet she also has no idea what's going on in this world because she's walks into it. It kind of, without spoiling it, like it's just kind of something that she's dumped into. And it's Tom Holland's Todd's character's job to give her the lay of the land of where she's in, to try to protect her, to actually catch her up to speed. But she's the most intellectual person in this movie. And so you would think the most intellectual person in this movie is also going to be doing some of the most dope stuff. And the weird thing is every single action moment, aside from a bike sequence, where it's like, oh, okay, she's going to have a fight scene. Oh, okay, she's going to go and defend herself. Oh, okay, she's going to do this. Okay, she's possibly more stronger than Tom Holland's character from a versatility standpoint, from an agility standpoint, and you never see it. Like they don't do anything with her physically aside from two specific scenes. There's an altercation scene that happens towards the third act, and then there's a scene with a bike. Aside from that, they kind of just have her running the entire time when there are moments that they really could use her from her physical capability. And I don't know if it's because, the movie was chopped up and they kind of like for time cut it down to an hour and 49 minutes. I don't know. But Tom Holland's character, they use him for a lot of action moments. Like, matter of fact, they make him out to be a superhero. Like, there's a moment, and I kid you not, that his character, while they were in the woods, he at this moment as she's looking, he's fighting something. And I don't want to give it away, but he's fighting something that probably should have killed him. And it's just kind of like they put it off that, okay, you're just supposed to expect that he is more than capable of defending himself against whatever this thing is and whatever he's going in fighting, and he's not gonna die. And it's just I don't know, man. I just couldn't get behind any of it, unfortunately. I've given you guys my spiel on this film. I've talked about like the good, the bad, but I really haven't gone into the bad. That honestly, I felt like this film was never something that I really felt like it was going to be that good, but I was at least hoping that it was going to be very entertaining and it's going to absorb me into what the world was and the dynamics of it. And I think they came up with some interesting ideas of the way that this can go from a narrative standpoint, especially from a dystopian space explorational standpoint, as well as like the implications of what the world in this situation actually is and what's going on. I was more interested in this one sequence with Daisy Ridley, Tom Holland, and this other situation in the I think it's like midway in the second act. And they don't do anything with it. Like, it's a fight that happens and they don't explain none of it. And matter of fact, the whole entire film, they don't do anything with that specific sequence other than, okay, this is a thing. And it looks like it's really important, but it don't matter because we're going to plan this off for multiple films. And unfortunately, this film didn't do anything to make me enticed to see more. I feel like the best YA film is not Twilight series, but was actually The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games was a series to me that from the very first movie, good or bad, whatever you felt about it, it was enough there to keep you entertained, engaged, and it also pushed the limits to certain things because this film, it felt like some moments I was like, there was a nice scene that happened. I was like, you know what, this is a PG-13 movie. Ain't nothing really going on in this. Whereas like Hunger Games, I didn't know. Like, I mean, it's literally like kids killing kids. You know, the situation was very dire. But in the same token with this film, you know, this is a life and death situation film, even though you don't know it because they kind of butter it up. And they don't do anything with it from a narrative standpoint, in my personal opinion. I felt like this is something that could have been something interesting. Even like a scene like this, I felt like Daisy Ridley, as an actress, could have made this scene something special if it was written better. Just this scene specifically. If you see the movie, that is, where it was very much so a cat and mouse situation that could have been something vastly different. But they don't do anything with it. As well as there's also Nick Jonas, and they make his character out to be, I'm not going to say dumb, but they make him out to be this like side son character that is bad. And I know he can act. I know he's better than this, but they don't do anything with him. The way this is scripted and the way it's written don't work. The way the platform from an entertainment standpoint of the film, it doesn't work. In terms of me being engaged to see more of it from an entertainment standpoint and a value standpoint, it's not there. And the other biggest thing is that from a new inventive perspective in the noise, because I can't hear it, because I can't understand what's going on, and because it really just doesn't work, it takes away the whole value of the film, unfortunately. I've wrestled with what I'm going to rate this film, because I did see it all the way through. I'd never cut it off. I did want to see it through. I think that Daisy really did some decent job. I think Mads Mikkelsen did an okay job. I think that even Tom Holland, like from the action moments, like I think he did a good job. There's one sequence where I felt like he really did, you know, show like an emotive moment. But at the same time, they really don't do anything with this to the lengths that I think that they could have. And that's my only gripe with this film. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I will rest this at a 4 out of 10. I would say 3.5 to 4 out of 10 for Chaos Walking. Maybe I feel differently if they go and do another one, but I personally think that from an acting standpoint, Tom Holland's not going to revisit this, because where he's going with his career in terms of like something like Cherry, which some people will like have an indifference in whether or not the movie was good, but between him and Sierra Bravo, their acting was amazing. So this is kind of like the movie that comes before that, but I can tell you, go and check out Cherry, because from an acting perspective, it was very well acted, and I think that you're not going to be disappointed by his performance in that. And again, his performance in this is serviceable. It's just not something I feel like will do him any services later on. Now, there was a scene in this film, I will give it this. There's a messed up scene that happens in this with David Oyelowo and Tom Holland, and I was like, dang, but then they don't pay it off. And anyway, we'll leave it at that. 3.5 or 5 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell button, keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. You guys have a blessed one. Take care, guys.